Back with us. Thanks for staying on. Now, what is the state of the nation? Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela, joins me now to talk about this. DM, good evening and thank you very much for your time. We had a challenge there with the connection. Hopefully, we can get you better now on the line. Let's talk about the question of stability in the country, stability in the economy. We haven't seen growth, I suppose, since 2019. Just before COVID, we were going on 2 consecutive quarters of a recession. We are not seeing stability in electricity supply. We are not seeing stability even in the governing party at this particular point. I mean, what is the state of the nation?
Look, I think we, as we indicated today in today's debate, that yes, we have challenges. And there's a whole range of challenges, as you've mentioned them. But we think that what's important is the fact that we need to distinguish between the structural challenges that our country and particularly the economy has been experiencing over a period of time and compare those to the kind of challenges that we or that are imposed on us, particularly by COVID-19. And I think the inability of the opposition to be able to distinguish between the two, and also, in our view, their rehashing of, their old interventions and criticism of the ruling party without necessarily critiquing some of the solutions and proposals and way forward that the president has presented. We think that it exposes the shallowness that has become our opposition parties in Parliament. And part of the things that we believe the country needs to be looking forward to are the priorities that the president has illustrated in his State of the Nation address, which both the leader of the opposition of the DA and also the leader of the CIC of the EFF failed to acknowledge, which is essentially ending the pandemic, but also dealing with and bringing the economy towards recovery through a plan, which in our view they also failed to comprehend, are some of the weaknesses that we've seen in today's engagement. And what is important for us as the ruling party is, us getting into action, us getting the nation, the country into action, into work, and precisely working on all those 4 priorities that the president has identified. We believe that through these set of priorities and through some of the actions that we've been undertaking, we will be able to take the economy forward. We will be able to see economic growth. We will be able to see people, working, and that for us is what's important. Beyond name calling.
Let's talk about it in practical terms. One of the issues that
extremely comical on the person of the president, as opposed to engaging with his presentation and his proposal. We think that that exposes the deficiency of our opposition.
Let's engage with some of what you said then. I mean, for example, one of the issues that was raised in your response is the question of 17 billion rands, which has been given to assist businesses. I mean, that is part of the loan guarantee scheme of 200. Well, it was going to be 200 billion if the uptake was great, but initially Treasury had provided 100 billion guarantee to that. Only 17 billion. That is not really something that we should be celebrating, because according to the Banking Association of South Africa, that 17 billion actually only went to companies with a turnover of over 20 million rands. Now, how many black businesses do you know that have a turnover of over 20 billion rands that could have benefited from that loan?
Well, I mean, that's just the one part. Remember, Thabo, what the president since March, as part of a package of intervention, has been, announcing different categories of interventions. And I think so on the one part, it's about saving businesses which, had potentially were going to have a high turnover in terms of employment, and we needed to save those jobs. But more importantly, we needed to get money directly into the pockets of small businesses so that they're able to create new jobs, and that on its own had its own set of package of interventions which the president has continuously, including at the State of the Nation address, spoke about. So I think that it would be amiss to try and suggest that our focus was mainly on big business. Part of the people that I spoke about today included a young woman from Limpopo who has benefited and will now, or is actually now, running a small business in construction and in bricklaying. And those are the kind of interventions that we think should not be neglected, because it's not only about intervention in big business. Yeah. It's also about intervention in small business and the ability to be able to employ or to create new jobs.
But we can't also ignore a stated target that is not met. So if your stated target is to distribute 200 billion, when you distribute 17 billion, it's a target that has not been met, and it's something that we should point out and something that we should go on your scorecard and you should answer about, is to say, why are you not living up to your own stated target? Are you there, Deputy Minister?
Hello?
Yes, I'm saying it's a stated target by the president, who announces that there will be a 200 billion that will be distributed to businesses. And when that target is not met, it's something that we should bring to your attention and that you should answer to as to why you failed to reach that target.
Well, no, most definitely. And I think part of the details that, will be given by both our engagement tomorrow in the debate, and also in the president's response, will include some of the details as it relates to the kind of interventions that, we have made. Yes, we acknowledge that the commitment towards the commitments made, specifically as it relates to the 17 billion that was dedicated towards business, may not necessarily have covered, and that applies with the rest of the grants, a package of grants that the president has been announcing throughout. But I think that what we want to see, from the moment the president made the announcements sometime last year in March and throughout, and into the State of the Nation address, is that we need to begin to be seeing a yield, particularly in terms of employment. The impacts may not necessarily be seen immediately, or the results may not necessarily be seen immediately. But what we are quite confident is that what we need now at this point of crisis is getting money into the pockets of small businesses. It's getting money into businesses that are having high employment turnover, so that we're able to retain existing jobs. But I think also what we need not forget is that the package is not only in terms of direct grants. The president himself spoke about massive tax incentives that have been directed towards both small, medium, and big businesses. And all of those package of interventions should be seen in their totality without singling out any one of those.
Now, uncertainty in the business conditions is one of the issues that's being raised, and as part of the reason for the poor uptake of that loan, because smaller companies with maybe a turnover slightly less than 20 million would say, I am reluctant to take on a loan because I don't know whether the lights will be on tomorrow or they will be off and on again, or what is actually going to happen. I could be losing business, I could be losing stock because it's going to get damaged because my fridge is not working. And these are companies, in essence, that should be hiring people, because we agree, and the president agrees, and he has repeated it, at least in the a couple of State of the Nation addresses that he has delivered, that small businesses are going to be the driver of employment in this country. And if those guys cannot have certainty of business condition because of poor electricity supply or lack of stability in the electricity supply, they are never really going to succeed. And what is being done so far, we're hearing of, well, we are working on restoring Eskom to its former glory, but we are not really seeing anything being done in practical terms.
Well, I mean, I think one of the critical elements of the President's State of the Nation address was getting Eskom to work, and not only Eskom, all state-owned enterprises. And part of the interventions includes the business model of electricity generation. Because we just like everyone else, understand the impact that lack of electricity has brought towards our economy, and how that has resulted in a whole range of job losses. And that's why the President has made that particular issue his priority in the State of the Nation address, with a set of interventions that will be introduced. If you care to recall, Thabo, that the President has made the efficiency and the effectiveness of state-owned enterprises, and in particular Eskom, his major priority, because that's what many of the businesses, many of South Africans are relying on in order for us to make the economy work. So we definitely have to, with the current set of interventions that the President announced, which also the Minister of Public Enterprise today extensively elaborated on, that we need to be seeing some results.
Yeah. And that move is the privatization of energy generation. Does Cabinet agree that that is the way to go? Get more private sector producing electricity as opposed to, we know the debt levels at Eskom at this point, but will it help Eskom in any way in its debt situation?
At the center of proposals, at the center of the President's announcement, and what the Minister of Public Enterprise emphasized today in the debate, was that the intervention will be in a hybrid form, including raising resources from private capital, but still with much more stronger state involvement in that regard.
And as far as the question of corruption, one of the criticisms that came through as we were analyzing the State of the Nation address was the fact of another committee or another council, an anti-corruption council, when we already have a whole lot of institutions in this country that should be dealing with corruption. You've got the SIU, you've got the Hawks, you've got the NPA, as opposed to seeing those processes getting underway. We're talking of a fusion center, and we're talking now of an anti-corruption council. People are saying, well, why can't we just see people getting arrested? For example, as simple as this period of the pandemic and those who are caught up in the PPE graft.
Well, one of the things that, and I think the confusion, particularly brought today by the leader of the opposition parties, John Steenhuisen, around the council that the President is speaking about. The most important body that will help the government to remain accountable is Parliament. Parliament has the responsibility for oversight, and therefore the link between the state and Parliament in dealing with corruption is quite crucial. And the structure, the advisory council that the President spoke about, is about creating a bridge between government and Parliament, in order for us to ensure that Parliament becomes effective in its dealing with Parliament. With corruption. If you, the big issue for the President and for this government over the last 2-3 years has been, how do we eradicate corruption? And therefore, we do not think that, some of the things that have been done in the past have been sufficient. And of course, measures were announced to strengthen the National Prosecutions Authority to build its capacity in terms of effective, investigation and prosecution of, allegations of corruption and all of that. And I think what's important is that we need to, all appreciate that all efforts, including getting citizens involved, in the fight against corruption, have to be, welcome, particularly with, the establishment of the structure that the President announced.
Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela, appreciate your time. Thank you for making time to come and respond to